A very good day to you. In this video, we are going to take the poem A Thing of Beauty, which has been written by one of the most famous romantic poets, John Keats. First of all, let us discuss the structure of the poem. Structure is the way in which the poet presents his ideas before us, the way in which the idea unfolds in the poem or any text as such. The first point to be noted is that the poem is divisible into different parts, and the different parts present different ideas which come together ultimately to present the main idea that the poet has to present in this poem. For example, the very first line gives the main theme of the poem. The main theme of the poem is that a thing of beauty is a joy forever. That means the pleasure given by beautiful experiences in life is permanent. This pleasure never loses its value and it can always be recalled whenever it is required. Next thing is that the next few lines have been used by the poet to tell us how beautiful things make our life pleasant. He gives some sort of examples to suggest that beautiful things give this sort of ideas, this sort of effect in our life. The next part of the poem, that includes a few more lines, give examples of some sad things in life. The poet here tries to give an idea that life is not all about beautiful experiences. To have sad things in life is unavoidable. But by mentioning these sad things also, the poet indirectly praises the things of beauty and also tries to tell that beautiful things make life tolerable and pleasant for us. Following that, some very common examples of beautiful things from the nature are given by the poet. Nature is very commonly considered beautiful, and the parts of nature are believed by most of the poets to be very beautiful things. The same thing applies here also. Now, John Keats is one of the most famous romantic poets. When we call him a romantic poet, that means he belongs to the age that was known as Romantic Age, and one of the most common features of the Romantic poets or the writers in general who wrote during Romantic Age was that these people considered nature to be absolutely positive. They always praised nature a lot. Finally, two beautiful aspects from human life have been mentioned by the poet. Now, the mention of natural things which are beautiful is very common among the poets writing about the theme of beauty. But Keats in this poem has presented two unique things as beautiful things, and these two unique things form part of human life. And the very final lines, the last two lines, have been used to present an image, the image where the importance and the beauty of nature have been described, and this image shows how nature establishes a connection between earth and heaven, and it is very significant. Now, the main themes in the poem, the most important theme is that beautiful experiences in life have permanent value. They have permanent value, that means they are very significant in life. Now, with this, the poet also answers the question that how do the beautiful experiences or the beautiful things that form of part of our life actually affect us. He tells us that they make our life tolerable and pleasant. Another theme in the poem is that beautiful things can be remembered at any time. Even when a beautiful experience is over, it can be remembered on a later time, so that when we are facing hard times, then These memories of beautiful things can help us in avoiding low feelings. Nature is very beautiful, and nature is a permanent source of permanent pleasure. That also is a theme that can very clearly be seen in this poem. The human interrelationships also are beautiful because they depict affection. Now, this also is a theme that has been present in the poem. And finally, another theme, that positive experiences make life worth living. The poet says that life is not all about happiness, life is not all about beautiful things. Sadness is an important part of life, it is an inseparable part of life, but still, positive experiences, that is, beautiful experiences, they make life worth living despite that sadness is part of life. Now, let us move on to the text of the poem. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. This line presents the main theme of the poem, that anything that is beautiful, any beautiful experience in life, it gives us pleasure, and this pleasure, this joy is forever. It never comes to an end. So that is why the poet says its loveliness increases. The influence of beautiful experiences on our life actually keeps on increasing with time rather than passing into nothingness. That means rather than losing their importance, these experiences keep on becoming even more important. To understand it in simple terms, we can say that if we have something beautiful in our life, may that be a beautiful thing, may that be a beautiful relationship, may that be a beautiful experience, may that be a beautiful moment, whatever beautiful has been part of our life, it will always be part of our life. Even when that moment has passed, even when that experience uh, has been over, even when the thing has been lost, but still these beautiful things can be remembered, and remembering these things always give us pleasure, and this pleasure never comes to an end. That is why these beautiful things, they keep certain things very beautiful for us. For example, a bower is when there are many trees together and there's a shady place under those trees. That bower is always quiet for us. It seems very quiet whenever we see a bower, and that quietness has its beauty. So this beauty is because a thing of beauty makes our life beautiful. That is why the bore becomes quiet for us and it becomes beautiful. Similarly, a becomes full of sweet dreams. A sleep itself is beautiful, but it becomes even more beautiful when it is full of sweet dreams. So, this effect of beautiful things, that they have permanent value in our life, they make life beautiful, just like a sleep becomes even more beautiful when there are sweet dreams in it. So basically, the poet is giving us some examples of how life becomes beautiful because of beautiful things. For example, a boar becomes quiet for us because of the effect of beauty. Sleep becomes full of sweet dreams because of the influence of beautiful things. We can enjoy this sleep. And similarly, if we are healthy, similarly, if there is quiet breathing, that means if we are leading our life peacefully, then that becomes enjoyable. So, to sum up the main points given in these lines, beautiful things that are part of our life, they give us permanent pleasure. This pleasure never loses its importance. Beautiful experiences make bore enjoyable for us. The quietness that we see in bore, that becomes enjoyable because we get beautiful experiences there. Similarly, the beautiful experiences make our sleep more pleasant. because the beautiful experiences add sweet dreams to our sleep. Healthy life, peaceful life, they are enjoyable because they help us to enjoy the beautiful things. Now, the second part, or we can say the next few lines. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth. The poet is saying that because beautiful things make our life pleasant, because beautiful things make our life enjoyable, that is why every morning we try to renew our association with earthly existence. We are living on this earth and we want to live longer. We want this stay on this earth to be long, just because we have beautiful experiences to enjoy. We have beautiful experiences that make our life all the more joyful. So we are reading means to prepare. So we are preparing a flowery band, and this band, that is the connection between us and the earth, our earthly existence, our presence on in this world, that is flowery. That is not a burden for us. Our life is never a burden for us. Despite that, there are many shortcomings in life, but still life never becomes a burden for us because of the help offered by beautiful things. There are many negative things. Now, in the next few lines, the poet tells us some sad things that are part of our life. For example, spite of despondence, hatred that we face in this world, that human beings, they hate each other. So that has become part of human life. Similarly, there is inhuman dearth of noble natures. Human beings are expected to be noble. They are expected to be noble beings always. But actually, when we see the world practically, then there are very few people who are noble. The world is full of such people who are not noble at all. That is why there is dearth of noble natures. There are very few noble people. And this is inhuman because human beings are believed to be noble, but most of the human beings are not noble. That is why the situation has become inhuman. There are gloomy days. Gloomy days means days full of sadness. So, in everyone's life, there are gloomy days. There are some days when we have to face sadness. There are unhealthy days also when we have to spend life in sickness and we are not comfortable at all. And then there are over darkened ways made for our searching. Sometimes we have to face such situations where we cannot find the way out. We could not understand what to do in this situation. So, made for our searching. That means we are full of confusion. We are not able to understand what to do in this situation, how to get out and out of this dark situation. So, because beautiful things make life pleasant, we renew our attachment with earthly existence every day, which in simple terms means that we wish to live longer. Now, the poet has given examples of sad things to tell us that life is full of sadness also. There are so many sad things which are very serious, but despite that, we want to live longer. We do not want to commit suicide, we do not want our life to come to an end just because in addition to these sad things, there are some beautiful things also, which make our life pleasant and which are more important than these sad things. The poet says that there are many sad things in life: malice, then hatred, shortage of good people, then days full of sadness, then there are days which are to be spent in ill health, then sometimes we have to face confusion in life, and there is no way out visible of this situation. But still, we want our stay to be longer on this earth. Despite such sadness in life, we wish to live longer. Now, if we want to understand this from a simple situation, Let us consider a person who has to work very hard from morning to evening in the office, and the person has to face lots of frustrations over the day. He has to face lots of people who torture him in different ways mentally, and some physical labor is also to be done throughout the day. And by the end of the day, the person is very irritated, the person is very frustrated, the person is not comfortable at all. But when the person reaches home, meets his parents, meets his children, then these relationships are beautiful things of his life. And he forgets all the sadness, and ultimately he is able to lead his life very happily, and he wants that this thing should get repeated every day. Despite that, he has faced lots of sadness over the day. So the poet gives examples of sad things to indirectly praise beautiful things. He is indirectly telling us that the beautiful things remove ill effects of sad things from our life. So it tells the capabilities of these sad things. This point gets further elaborated in the next few lines when the poet says, yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. So, despite that, there are many sad things in our life. Some shape of beauty or some beautiful experience, maybe some relationship, maybe something, maybe some activity, can be anything that is beautiful. It moves the shape, it moves the pall of darkness from our spirits. What is pall of darkness? Pall bearers are people who carry the dead body to be cremated. So, what is this pall? This is the burden of sad things, burden of dark things that burdens the spirit and makes us feel sad. So, this sadness gets removed once we come in contact with some shape of beauty, like these beautiful things. Now, the beautiful things that have been presented here as examples are from nature. So, the poet presents some very beautiful things, some very commonly known beautiful things like sun, moon, they are beautiful things, trees, plants, they sprout a shady boon for simple sheep. So these trees and plants they come together to create a shade, and the poet has even used direct words like boon. They create a boon, they create a blessing for the sheep, and the sheep is also being praised by using an adjective along with it, that it's a simple sheep. So simplicity is beautiful. So, because John Keats is a nature poet, because he is a romantic poet, that is why he is all praise for the nature. So, these lines tell us that despite that sadness is inseparable from life, beautiful things are capable of removing the effect of sad things from our spirits, and they make our life enjoyable and tolerable. Beautiful things from nature like sun, moon, plants, trees, they make life free from sadness. The poet displays his love for nature not only by presenting images from the nature but also by using such words which present nature in a very positive light. Like he says that nature creates boon. Again, in relation to nature, the poet uses some very directly positive words. For example, simple, simplicity is beautiful. Boon, boon is a positive word, a very positive word, which means blessing. And shady, shade again is something beautiful, particularly when it is seen in relation to sunlight. The images from nature have been presented very effectively in the poem. Now, the poet further gives us some examples from the nature of beautiful things. For example, daffodils. Daffodils are very beautiful flowers. And the poet does not say that just the flowers are beautiful. He also says that the green world around the flowers, that is also beautiful. The greenery that can be seen around the flowers. So flowers are known to be beautiful by everybody, but people generally do not mention the greenery around that flowers, around those flowers to be beautiful. The poet does not forget that greenery also. Then he mentioned clear rills. Rills are streams of water. They make themselves a cooling covert. Around the streams, a cooling environment is made against the hot season. Even when the season is hot and is not very comfortable, around the streams of water, a cooling environment is created. So that is something very beautiful, that is something very enjoyable. Then he mentions a mid forest break. Break is when there are many shrubs coming together, many short plants, they are together. And in this mid forest break, there are some musk roses which are blooming. Now, the fragrance of these musk roses, the beautiful musk roses, it is making the environment very beautiful. So not only the flowers but the green surroundings are beautiful. This shows that the poet is a true nature lover. The streams of water, the rills, they have the ability to reduce the effect of hot season, just like the poet is mentioning about the beautiful things, that they have the ability to reduce the effect of sadness. Like the rills, all aspects of nature contribute in making our life tolerable and enjoyable. So they are just examples of the way in which the beautiful things make our life better. A bunch of shrubs in the forest, including musk rose, they give pleasure with their fragrance. So all the beautiful things in the same way give us pleasure. The image that has been used makes it clear how beautiful things affect our life. The poet gives very common examples from the nature, and these common examples not only create an image in our mind, in the reader's mind, so that the poem can be enjoyed more, but it also makes the poet's points very clear. The poet further says that such too is the grandeur of the domes we have imagined for the mighty dead. He has given some examples from the nature, and he says that similarly beautiful is the grandeur, the the enormity, the beauty that we attach with the dooms. Dooms here means tombs. So our mighty dead, dead means our ancestors. Mighty dead means the our ancestors who were very significant, our ancestors who were very capable. Now they are dead. But even when our ancestors are dead, we do not lose connection with them. We still feel attached with them, we still respect them, we still offer our affection to them. How is that affection shown after they are dead? That when we make their tombs, then we try to make them magnificent. We try to make them grand. We try to make them beautiful. So, this is how we show that even after the death of our ancestors, we have not lost connection with them, we have not lost affection towards them. This is something beautiful about human life. Similarly, the lovely tales that we have heard or read, the tales that are told generation after generation, the tales that connect different generations with one another. Grandparents tell tales to their grandchildren, and these grandchildren, when they become grandparents, they also tell the same tales to their grandchildren. In this way, so many generations get connected to one another, and this is something beautiful about human life. So firstly, the poet gives examples of beautiful things from nature, and then he gives example of beautiful things, two beautiful things from human life. In the last two lines, the poet presents an image. Imagery is a literary device where the poet tries to create an image so that the reader can make a picture in his mind which makes the situation clear to him. The uh, poet presents the idea in such a manner that a clear picture develops in the mind of the reader. So, here the poet says that heaven is like a cup, and that cup is full of immortal drink. Immortal means that makes us immortal, that can avoid death. So, heaven is like a cup, it is full of immortal drink, and the immortal drink is falling over the brink of the cup. That means it is overflowing. And that overflowing liquid, the immortal drink, is reaching to earth in the form of an endless fountain. So imagine this thing, there's a cup which is full, and the liquid is coming out of the cup and it is falling on earth. Now, this cup is heaven, the liquid is immortal drink, and it is falling on earth. That means it is reaching earth. Now, there are some words that are to be understood here. Firstly, the fountain is endless, it is never going to end. Second, the drink is immortal, the drink is very significant. We are not to consider it literally that this drink is going to make human beings immortal. It actually means that it makes our life tolerable, it makes our life beautiful, it makes our life enjoyable. That is why we can say that this thing that is reaching us is like an immortal drink. So it is coming directly from the heaven. So what the poet is actually trying to say is that nature is a connection between earth and heaven. So this endless fountain actually is nature. It is connecting earth to heaven. First thing, it is beautiful, and because of its beauty, it makes our life enjoyable, it makes our life all the more pleasant, and that is why it is like an immortal drink, a fountain of immortal drink. So that is what the poet is trying to say in praise of nature, the importance of nature in our life. So the poet presents two beautiful aspects of human life. First, the affection for ancestors that we feel even after they are no more in this world, and also the tales that are told from generation to generation and that help us uh, when we are young to understand what civilization is, to understand our culture, and that help us to pass these same things, our culture, our beliefs, to our coming generations. Now, these beautiful aspects of human life also have same effect on life as the beautiful things from nature that were mentioned in the last few lines, like the sun, moon, plants, trees, clear rills, and things like that. Imagery has been used as I have already mentioned. The heaven is seen as a cup and it is full of immortal drink. The liquid is overflowing and this overflowing liquid is reaching to earth. Now, heaven is always considered more important, more enjoyable than earth, and earth is getting its share of enjoyment because of this overflowing liquid that is reaching to us in the form of nature. Now, this fountain is nothing but nature. So, the poet says that nature brings effect of heaven to earth by its beauty. What nature provides, it is not to be considered immortal literally. It simply makes our life pleasant, enjoyable, and tolerable. That is why we say that nature makes our life immortal. So, to understand all the ideas in simple terms quickly, even when beautiful experience is over, it can be remembered, and once it is remembered, it makes our life happy, it removes sadness from our life, and this is why the beautiful things are important in our life. There are two major ways in which things of beauty help human beings. One, they reduce the effect of sad things and make our life tolerable. Second, they make life beautiful in general and therefore more enjoyable. Nature is the major source of beauty. That is an idea that is repeated again and again, directly as well as indirectly. And human life also has some beautiful aspects, as have been mentioned in the few lines just towards the end of the poem. Nature is a connection between earth and heaven. So, it is an unending source of joy, it is an unending source of beauty, and it gives pleasure to us continuously without any break. So, that is what the poet tells us. So, that is all for the poem. Thank you very much.